Verizon says it's 5:59.
Got a cue.
And then Paul's not even cute in the audio.
Ready? All right, call this meeting to order, 6. Stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Joe Millar.
Here.
Councilmembers Jerry Devane.
Here.
Robert Bauer.
Here.
Rick Stroll.
Here. And I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda tonight.
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
Second?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second.
And motion to approve the consent agenda. Oh, we got to vote. Still new at this. All in favor?
Aye.
And a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Mayor Pro Temp, I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
And open to the public.
No one signed up before the meeting.
Okay, moving on to new business. Item A, appointment for 2018 resolution 2018-01. Open it up for discussion if anybody has anything. Hearing none.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 2018-01, the appointments of 2018.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second that motion.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The St. Francis Transitional Care Facility, Planned Unit Development Resolution 2018-02.
Honorable Mayor, jump into this one?
Yeah, do that.
Honorable Mayor Pro Tem, I should say, members of the City Council. Before you tonight is a Plan Unit Development Amendment that's seeking authorization to construct an 89-unit senior housing facility in the southwest corner of the Turtle Run development. If you turn to, I believe it's page 2 in your report, you're going to see this map here. If you've been on the council for the past few years, you'll already be familiar with this project, as a very similar plan was actually approved back in 2015, but was never acted upon, and so that approval has since expired. The application before you tonight would reestablish that previous approval while making important updates to stormwater management, along with other site improvements per your current code. As you'll see up here, the site is located really in the central portion of the community along the southern border of the city, near the intersection of the Zion Parkway and 229th Avenue Northwest. And then if we take a look at an aerial, you'll see that the northern portion of the property is fairly heavily wooded, and then you've got a kind of more open area as you get nearer the county road. Going back to the 2015 plan, just to bring you up to speed on where we've come and where we're going to, this is what could have been built, and the things I'd point out is they've got a lot of parking areas and drive areas all the way around the building, as you see here, and then the configuration of the building comes up the lot and then kind of goes parallel with the county road here. And here is the newly proposed plan that you're asked to take action on here tonight. The primary differences between 2015 and this 2018 plan are that, one, the main wing of the building, instead of making that turn, is now going up the lot, just in conformance with the configuration of the lot. Two, rather than having surface parking pretty much all the way around the building, they're now proposing to have 24 underground parking stalls. So you can see a new drive comes down here, and that allows them to access an area under the building. A total of 9 handicap stalls will also be in this parking lot, and as a whole, this new configuration is really going to help to limit overall hardcover on the site, which is obviously good from a stormwater management perspective. And then number 3, the site, again, has been reworked to address all of your new stormwater standards. Going through the report, you're going to find the applicable code definitions on page 3 and applicable codes on pages 3 and 4. And the only thing I'd call out is that Samatech has accepted the historical work on the PUD that was done by your previous planner. as it relates to the underlying zoning and what can be done in this PUD. Since it was recently approved and you've gone through this process, we didn't feel it was necessary to go back and do that historic research. Moving on to the Plan Unit Development Performance Standards on page 5 of the report. The use is consistent with your comprehensive plan and the commercial land use designation. We do believe that it's going to be compatible with other land uses in the area, given distances, given the trees on this site, and given the surrounding uses. They are providing common open spaces on this lot, both around the building. They have a very generous backyard as well as an ample patio area. And the proposed density is acceptable. We're again talking about the same number of units we looked at in 2015. All setbacks are being met or exceeded. The site can be served by public utilities. The landscaping plan with updates, as noted in the report, can meet city requirements, and general issues of lot size, building height, and parking are all being met. I would throw out that because this is technically a PUD amendment, not a CUP or some of the other things that we often see, we are starting at the development stage as required by your code. And the only thing to note about that is an affirmative vote of 4/5 of the full council is going to be needed to approve this, so we would need all 4 votes here tonight in order for this to move forward. At the top of page 7, we note that a development agreement and financial surety is going to be needed if these plans are approved. And then finally, on your PUD approval standards, as I stated, we're not in conflict with the comp plan. This plan is unified within its own boundaries. The use will be compatible with present and future land uses in the area. The proposal does meet or exceed all performance standards in your zoning code. The facility can be accommodated by existing public services, and the proposed senior living facility should be a low impact use that is not going to create adverse impacts on adjoining property. Regarding public comment, we have not received anything coming to staff at City Hall, and there were no speakers at the December 20th public hearing. The Planning Commission did review this item at that meeting on the 20th, and they did find sufficient reason to recommend approval of the request based on the findings of fact listed in the report, subject to the recommended conditions. So in conclusion, the request is for a plan unit development amendment for the 89-unit senior transitional care and assisted living facility. Both staff and the Planning Commission are recommending approval with conditions, as it does appear that the provided plans are in conformity with your standards. Council tonight may approve, you may deny, or you may table this application if you deem fit. We provide you with template motions on page 9 of the report, suggested findings of fact on page 10, and then finally recommended conditions on pages 10 and 11. And with that, I'll take questions.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, now was this sharing a driveway with the Ponds Golf Course?
Yes,
Okay.
as you can see where it comes out off
Yep.
to the east there, it then goes into that
Okay.
existing parking
And,
area.
and that was my concern, is having, you know, a couple driveways so close together on that. So as long as they're sharing a driveway, I think that's awesome.
Anything else? We have somebody here, I believe. Is Chow Lee present? Would you like to come up to the podium there and answer a couple questions? So according to the November 2nd, 2015 staff report, Able Companies was listed as the applicant. Now the applicant is Chow Lee. Can I ask why the application is coming from a different entity?
Well, when we purchased the site as the GD1 LLC, that's what it should be with the city, and that was corrected. And I'm the principal of GD1 LLC.
Okay. Walker Methodist was listed as the operator of the previous application. Who will be the operator of this facility? And what is their background in operating these facilities?
Sure. The operator that we're working with right now is Ebenezer. Walker Methodist is technically still at the table. They don't have capacity to handle the project right now. But Ebenezer is number one in terms of as an operator and manager in the market. They have over 6,500 units in the business for over 100 years.
So Walker Methodist doesn't have the capacity, you're saying?
Yeah, they had a couple of projects that were lined up at the same time.
Okay. My next question was, why isn't Walker Methodist going to be the operator? And you're saying that they don't have the capacity. Is the applicant still seeking tax increment financing for this project?
Yes, we
Okay. And has tax increment financing for this project been formally approved?
Dave?
We've established the district. We have not entered into a TIF development agreement with them yet.
Okay. I guess my concern is, we approve this with Walker Methodist being involved. This kind of changes everything. I've never heard of the operator Ebenezer. Personally, I'd like to do some more research with them. Get our due diligence done, and I would entertain a motion to table it, or I will make that motion to table it. Given we need a 4/5 vote, we have 4 people here. If I'm not confident in the vote, I don't feel like I can vote on it. Therefore, I would have to vote a different way, which I think it'd be a better opportunity for you as well as us to get a full council here to do that. So I'd make a motion to table it.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
that would be a motion to continue the date certain, to be like the next meeting.
A motion to continue date certain. Okay, I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Oh,
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we have Meridian Behavioral Health. Ben?
Yes, Honorable Mayor Pro Tem again, members of the City Council. For this particular application, the applicant contacted us today and has requested that it be tabled to the February 5th meeting. They had their architect all lined up. They could have been here, but they wanted members from Meridian to be present, and they just could not get their schedule to work for them. So with that being the request, we did, as staff, send them a letter today to extend the city's 60-day rule. So we have plenty of time under that time clock, so we have no problem recommending that table here tonight. The only thing we would ask the council to take action on is there is a resolution within your packet that is going to set a public hearing to discuss the vacation of easements. Much like the Quick Trip project that we recently had, that has to go through council. We have to follow a certain set of steps, and they want to do something very similar. Just to show you kind of what they're doing. These are the existing easements on the site. The red being an access easement, the yellow being drainage and utility easements, and the new plan needs to shift to something like this. So basically, that's what that public hearing will help us facilitate.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve item number 2 of the Meridian Health Behavior, the setting the public hearing of the easement vacation.
Honorable Mayor,
Yes.
I'm sorry, can we have 2 different motions? One to table,
Oh,
continue to a date certain. And then the second motion would be to approve resolution 2018-04. And on that one, we had planned to hold the public hearing on January 16th, but since they're coming back on February 5th, we would recommend that council change that date to February 5th, and we'll just have that discussion all at once.
okay. I will entertain a motion to table resolution 20, or continue, what is it? Continue to date certain.
Continue the dates, continue this issue to date certain, which would be February 5th.
That.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to continue resolution 2018-03 to the January meeting that was just referenced.
And do I have a second?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that second.
All in favor?
Excuse me, Mr.
Yep.
Mayor Pro Tem. We're talking about moving it to the next meeting, and he's talking about moving it to February.
February 5th.
But the February 5th was the
That was the date.
the date.
The date.
Certain date.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm clear.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, the 2 actions that the council can take. First is to continue to the date certain of February 5th.
Yes.
And then the second is to approve the resolution making a modification calling for the public hearing also on February 5th. So 2 motions.
Okay. You gotta approve the first one. Okay. All in favor of the first motion to continue to date certain 2018-03?
Who's second?
I did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we'd like to make a motion to move the public hearing as well to the same date of February 5th.
Mayor Pro Temp, I would like to entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2018-04, setting a public hearing on an easement vacation for February 5th.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
And moving on to River's Edge development.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, the final planning item before you tonight is a development sketch plan for the River's Edge community proposed for land to the north of Rum River Bluffs, that PUD, Rum River Bluffs being right here. As you can see on this map, the land is fairly centrally located within the community. It's roughly 93 acres that runs all the way from the Rum River off to the west over to County Road 72 off to the east. The area here that you see colored in orange is zoned for urban single-family development, whereas the green parcel up in here is currently zoned for interim agriculture. So that particular piece in this development would need to be brought into the urban area via comp plan amendment and a rezone request. But before they take that step, the applicants are here seeking your feedback tonight on the overall concept. Just what do you like, what don't you like, what makes you excited about this, what drives some concerns that you have, and ultimately this is your opportunity to give the applicants direction prior to a finalized development plan being brought forward. Like I told the Planning Commission, it's important that the council just be open and honest here tonight. Don't hold back in your comments. They want to bring forward the best product, but they can't do that unless they know what you're going to be expecting moving forward. So, jumping right into it, here's an aerial of the property, and you can see that a majority of the land is farmed, used for agriculture. But then we also have some woodlands, primarily off towards the Rum River on the western side of the lot. Other things I'd point out, you have the Rum River Bluffs PUD currently developing to the south. Most of the area off to the east is developed, and then you can see off to the west we're starting to build out there as well. This little triangle of land here is actually a portion of a parcel on the other side of the Rum River. We've pointed that out a number of times to the applicants, making sure that as they come forward with information, we know how that piece is going to be handled. Do they have access? Do they have agreements with these people? Just give us the background there. If I zoom in to the property to the south, just south of Rum River Bluffs, you can see there are a number of trails just north of the Rum River in that nice park area. We've asked to see if there's any way that we can make a connection there. More than likely, that's going to have to be on-street via either on-street trails or sidewalks through Rum River Bluffs, simply because we don't have any easements next to the river in the rear of the main lots in Rum River Bluffs here. But we'll certainly strive to make that connection. Next, I'd point out just in terms of access, you have Rum River Bluffs to the south, you've got the river off to the west, you've got undeveloped land off to the north. So really the only way to get to this property is County Road 72 off to the east. And that's something I'll touch upon when we get to transportation, because that's a main issue here. And then finally, we have a portion of the property in the Rum River Management District, and that's going to bring up a number of different things that also have to be dealt with. Moving on to the generalized plan itself, the applicants are looking to eventually develop all 93.6 acres, as you see up here, into 220 home sites, or roughly in that area. The resulting density is in line with your current comprehensive plan and your PUD requirements, but I have put the applicants on notice that we need to reach out to the Met Council and have a conversation about density in this community. Your comp plan actually calls out that we'll meet their minimum requirements, but the Met Council's minimum requirements are up near 3. So I don't know how this fits into the overall other development that we've been doing over the past 10 years, so we'll do additional research there. Moving on to page 2 of the report, with regards to the comprehensive plan, I call out on pages 2 and 3 some things that the council and the planning commission should keep in mind. The first, it talks about PUDs in the comp plan and just says we'll rigorously approve our requirements there. When judging PUDs, we're to look at substantial architectural enhancements being a minimum component to the amenity package that we're looking for. Enhancements to the quality and quantity of open space are expected, and then attention to natural environmental detail is also something that can help qualify something as a PUD. Within the comp plan, there's also a number of land use policies, and there's 3 in particular to keep in mind. Land use policy A says residential subdivision should preserve important natural features and promote St. Francis as a distinct location. That means preserving natural features, include amenities that create a small town feel, and I'll leave it to you to determine what those amenities are. And then planned roadways within developments need to be extended. Now, in this case, we have 4 for the south, or from the south in Rum River Bluffs that are being proposed to be extended to the north. Land use policy C on page 216 of the comp plan seeks creative approaches to the use of land. That means a variety and diversity of housing styles, materials, colors, things like that. And then land use policy F says that we need to be consistent with Met Council policies, and again, we'll have to be having those conversations. Regarding compatibility, given that the city actually approved a similar development pattern in 2006 for this site, we don't find that this is premature and that this is compatible. Common open spaces, they're proposing 2 off to the west. There we go. Off to the west, this large area is actually going to be preserved open space, that wooded area next to the river, should this move forward. And then they have this open area here, and that would be more of an active park area is what they're envisioning. Our comp plan does call for both of those areas, so it's consistent with the plan, and something here would be important, simply to provide amenities both to these residents and to the Rum River Bluffs development to the south. Moving on to your general standards on page 5, all lots, blocks, cul-de-sacs, they're generally conforming to your minimum requirements. One deviation that they're requesting would be this particular cul-de-sac up here does exceed your maximum length. Maximum length in the code is 500 feet, and this one is just over 800 feet. So that would be one deviation. The other main deviation is off to the east here. They're proposing a number of smaller, thinner patio home type lots. This would be more of a retirement type area, probably in an affordable price point for a retiring couple out here. Then they would move into more mid-level homes in the center of the community, and then your higher priced homes would be off against the river. Then finally, I'd note that per the engineer, there are some remnant pieces with wetlands on them as shown up here. The engineer is recommending that that be combined, or those areas be combined with adjacent lots. All lots are going to have access to a public road, and all Rum River Bluff connections are being extended as previously planned. On page 6, you're going to see this particular graphic that I've thrown up here. And I wanted to put this up because you can see to the north we have 2 potential roadways that we can connect to, and that's going to be important to provide additional access out to County Road 72. Right now you've got the proposed 220 homes here, you've got 100 plus homes down here, all funneling down literally into one access point. So that's, again, when I get into the transportation section, I'll keep harping on that because that's a very important thing to keep in mind here. But the 4 dead ends that they're proposing are going to provide plenty of opportunities to get up to these other locations in the future as that land continues to develop. Moving on to infrastructure, on page 7 of the report, some of our main concerns focus on streets and transportation. The first issue that was addressed was preserving those roadway connections, so that's fantastic. The second was providing those additional 4 connection points to the north so we can continue to create an integrated transportation system out here. And then finally, needing to provide additional access. What we're proposing as part of this is, there is an existing cul-de-sac. I think I have an aerial here. Yeah, kind of hard to see, but there is an existing cul-de-sac roughly right here. It's not a city street. Do you know the history on that, Kate? I don't even know how it got built, but there's a cul-de-sac there. So in roughly that location, eliminating at least temporarily a couple of these patio home lots so that there can be a secondary access point. So if there's an accident down here, if the county road is being reconstructed, we can work it out so everybody still has access to their homes, and we're never at a point where people are calling City Hall nonstop saying, how are we going to get out here? So they're well aware of that requirement, and they've already indicated that they're amenable to working both with the city and the county on making that happen. Other thoughts, we've talked about the alignment of some of these roads, making sure that this particular road and this road are located properly because we have some kind of large wetland areas off to the north, and we want to make sure that our alignments allow for that road to continue in the future. And that's about it there. Water, sanitary, storm, all of those plans are going to need to be provided in the future. They have to be meeting our standards. With regards to phasing, they are planning to come off or start off of Quay here, work their way off to the east, down to the patio homes, and once that's filled up, then they would start moving off to the west. So the last area that would be developed would be the area along the Rum River. Moving on to environmental and other neighborhood impacts, there is not a need here for an in-depth environmental analysis. They don't trigger anything based on the densities that are proposed. They will need to provide a wetland management plan, and as I stated earlier, there is a portion of this in the Rum River District, and that would be approximately 54 acres. There are some areas along the Rum River that are within the floodplain, so the applicants need to review those lots, review the roadways over there, and make sure they understand where the floodplain is and how those types of issues can be addressed. And then finally, charges, fees, and responsibilities. The applicant is responsible for all fees related to the review of the application. There is going to be park dedication for this. Based on what they're showing us today, that dedication would be 9.61 acres of land that would have to be dedicated or cash in lieu. The plans do show they're dedicating those 2 areas that I indicated earlier, and as I stated, the comprehensive plan is asking for those dedications. Sewer charges, water charges will apply, but we'll be working with them in the future to figure out what those will be. So in conclusion, council is asked just to examine these overall plans, the things that we've shown you here tonight, provide feedback to the applicant on what they need to keep in mind. With regards to your planning commission, the main things that they came up with was they asked that the applicant consider ways that this development could be connected to the larger city, and specifically there the thought was if you're having a senior living association off to the east, how can those homes be connected maybe to local service groups, or what can we do to integrate those people into the community? Within the townhome area, be very focused on ADA standards and making that safe. Sidewalks were deemed to be needed throughout, and that's a requirement of code anyway. Provide information on the amenities being provided. Right now they're scarce on are there going to be trails in the wooded area, how are we going to utilize that active park area. So that's requested in the future. The second access point to County Road 72, the Planning Commission did feel that that was going to be important, although they did express some concern about safety at that secondary access location. So is that a good location? Should it be emergency access only? Should it be emergency access and construction traffic? There's a number of different iterations we can look at there. And then finally, provide at least 3 levels of life cycle housing, which it appears that they're going to do in this development. So with that, I'll turn it over for discussion.
Thank you. Comments, questions, concerns?
Well, I'll start down here. There you go. Well, I guess my first comment is I really like the plan from the standpoint of, the mix of housing. And one of the commission members made note of, we do it, and I agree with him. I think we do a very poor job of leveraging the Rum River for what it is. I think the opportunity to put some, I'm not going to use the word high-end homes, but the higher-end homes in this neighborhood would be along the river. I think we'd be kidding ourselves to think this is not going to be like the development just north of the Anoka Senior High School with $500,000, $600,000 homes. That's not what's going in by the river, correct? And I believe you're the applicants, right? That's why I'm looking over there.
We all over Lake Townhouse. And
You want to step up to the podium?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So like my point was, I like the idea that let's leverage the river for what we can, put the more expensive homes there, but it's not going to be Medina. I mean, we're not, Prince's heirs are not going to move into that neighborhood. But we're going to do what we can.
I think they should.
one thing, so, we are gonna have those be the nicest lots. It's absolutely stunning out there. Beautiful. I walked it many times, and it's really, really cool. We won't get to that part of the development for several years, so I guess at this point, I just gotta say whatever the market will bear at that point. But they are slated for nicer homes. If I had to venture, just in that 500, 750 range. Lot pricing would be
Sounds good.
very reasonable for really excited for the project. I think St. Francis is in need of a mix of lots. Had a lot of it developed last year, and the builders I'm talking to, we're a builder also, but we partner with other builders, just with the size of the development. They're already out lots, especially in that more economical range. And I think the patio homes are just a real need right now. In the smaller communities, we've done this in the past, a lot of the buyers come from that city, which is, they're raising their family, they just want to downsize, their nice patio homes. So, if I can, so I think city staff has been an amazing unit at this point. It's a colossal amount of work, even come with the concept plan, so everybody here is amazed, which makes me even more excited to work with your city, because it's a big project, a big investment, and my engineer Mark Campion is also done a lot of labor. Any other questions? Love to hear, but as I've stated, really just before we take the next step, and really put our money where our mouth is, to make sure the city's in favor of development. And feedback we have on it. Open the improvements. I think we've already approved on the prior PUD that was approved 10 years ago or so. It was straight roads and kind of one uniform product. So, help the city staff came up with this, and we're pretty proud of it, obviously, and want to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I got two more. I think that second access, I'm torn about the second access. When you think about the number of homes, the number of people, funneling them to one area doesn't seem like a great idea. But putting more access on that stretch of county road doesn't seem like a great idea. So I don't know what the right solution is. I don't know if you funnel everybody through, and then if there is a car accident, there's a gate that the police officer's got a padlock to, and that's a temporary. I don't know what to do. I'm not in favor of either one. I don't know if there's any other right ideas, but it's one of those things where you look at some parts of our city that have evolved over the last 25 years, and you have, what in the hell are those people thinking? And part of it's just the fact, we developed one neighborhood, long and narrow, just like our city. Now we're going to go develop the next neighborhood, long and narrow. And then we got a county road that does an S-turn right there. I'm kind of leaning towards needing the second access, but I don't know, I could be convinced of the merits of not putting it there either, and kind of leave that in the hands of the engineers working with the applicant, I think. Then my only other comment was probably for the police chief. You've got a neighborhood surrounded with a nice wooded area. If you're not a reformed juvenile delinquent like a certain member of our council, that's where you probably go to get away from your parents. Do you have any concerns of having, we want to keep the wooded area, we want to keep areas preserved like that, but without trail systems or anything, do you have any concerns of, being able to get back there?
There's always going to be some concerns, but
I mean, that condition exists right now, so.
Yeah, it does. In certain parts of the city, it certainly does, and I think just spreading, getting that awareness out to the local residents to report stuff that they see, and obviously regular patrol, which we try to do in all our park areas and wood areas. Some are more difficult than others to access and actually get back there to patrol. But it's really just making residents aware and urging them to report. A lot of things don't get reported that, at least immediately. A lot of times we'll get reports 2-3 days later saying they observed some kids back in the wooded area doing something they didn't know what they were doing, and then we get the report a couple of days later, and obviously it's too late. So just getting that awareness out, urging residents to report things, and I think it should be fine. It's just
Okay. That's all. Overall, I think I like the plan. So that's all I've got. Thanks.
Thanks, Rick.
Mayor Pro Tem. The only problem I see is those two triangle lots on that far outside cul-de-sac. Right now, I don't see any access to that homeowner's property to the west. I would squeeze those two lots apart and make an easement through the middle so they can drive to their property. Instead of having it on the right-hand side, just tweak that one lot over and put that easement in there. You should be able to get to their property.
Are you talking that corner up.
Yeah, the far left-hand west corner. And I would like to see I would personally like to see the park system either come up that road to the far west and then over into that wooded area, up along the side of his property, and then come out that easement into that cul-de-sac, and then continue on the road, and then whatever we do to get park. Once we continue, because nothing bothers me more than having a park system that stops somewhere, like our development on Cary Street, the sidewalk stops completely, and then the next phase, they start putting sidewalks again. So I want to see the park system go through there somehow, marked through the cul-de-sacs, through the street a little bit maybe, but then back into the woods again, and that's something that I think is important.
Trails along there.
Yeah.
Our intent is to have a trail system through there, all 4 lots north of the south property line, the southwest corner. We do have an opening between the lots there as well. Our intent was to route a trail system from that point up through the woodlands, and the direct route we're not sure, but then meeting up with the cul-de-sac.
Okay.
So that is our intent, to
Yes.
have a trail system through there to access from both locations.
That's kind of what I see. All right. Good. That's it.
You know, I concur with Councilmember Bauer. You know, I'm a big trail connectivity guy, and you know, I was really pushing for the trails when they redid Bridge Street with the roundabouts to connect the trails from Lake George all the way up here. You know, having a trail and it just dead ends at somebody's driveway, and then you're, you know, walking through weeds for the next 100 yards till you hit the next road. You know, to me doesn't make sense. So, you know, I like connectivity. You know, I would be in favor of an additional outlet for traffic, perhaps up at that corner, providing the visibility meets the DOT standards. I know we have them throughout St. Francis. You know, in my neighborhood, I mean, Fox Street and Grammy Street are built right on a curve, and it doesn't seem to be an issue there. Now, I know traffic now is slower, but in the past it's been a 50-mile-an-hour road, and it hadn't been an issue. One of the advantages of having an outlet there is in the past, past councils have had to deal with when Turtle Run was built, or the ponds, you know, all the road construction traffic actually went through Ivywood, and it really tore the hell out of that road. And we ended up replacing that road about 10 to 15 years prematurely because of all the traffic on it. Not just traffic, just heavy truck construction traffic. You know, so I would contend that if there was another access point, the construction vehicles could use that and stay off the roads that are in Rum River Bluffs there, and probably save those roads, you know, save a lot of life left on those roads. You know, and perhaps they could build it and work their way out, and what we would have is a good road that doesn't have a whole lot of heavy commercial vehicle or traffic on it, because it really does cut down the life of a road. I mean, a lot. So I'd be in favor of another access point, like, you know, whether it be there or wherever it is. You know, to me that seems to be the most logical place. You know, but you know, just looking at it from trying to get more longevity out of the roads that are already there in Rum River Bluffs, and make it easier for the people to move into this neighborhood. My second point is I believe in our comp plan, the Met Council requires that there be different price points on these lots, and I mean, this does meet that requirement. You know, there needs to be so much, I don't want to say lower end, but you know, patio houses are going to be a cheaper house than the middle and then the more expensive lots. So I mean, it does dovetail nicely with the comp plan, you know, so I like it, I'm in favor of it. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Mayor Pro Tem, I have one more thing. I'm not opposed to that access point road either, just based on my knowledge. That's probably the best place to put it because of the teardrop look in the road. You know, if it curved the other way, you'd have blind turnout altogether. So you're seeing completely both curves. That's probably the best place. I wouldn't push it up to the top of the lot line to where the road turns back left, because you're going to get a blind spot there when you want to turn out. So to me, that would be the best location. I would like to know what the capacity is for an outlet, and I'm assuming that as we go on, 3 will go up there and connect some kind of way in the future. So with those number of homes plus these number of homes, how many out, you know, what's the capacity of a road coming in and out of a development?
Yeah, ultimately I defer to our engineer, but yeah, once you make a connection to A or B, you know, then we can start having that conversation about getting rid of that
Yeah.
Temporary access.
Yep. Good, that's it.
My thoughts are, I love the development. I think it's great. I think it'll be good for growth, helps with a number of things, increase the tax base, et cetera, et cetera. Biggest concern I have is having the one outlet, one for emergency vehicles, and 2 obviously for the residents. Having a second access point I think is good. I have to agree with Jerry as far as the construction stuff's concerned. Any way you can save the roads, please do so. But other than that, I love it. And then I guess the only other concern, which you guys kind of touched on it, but preserving the natural, the wooded area, whatever we can. I think that's important to a lot of people, and as well as the aesthetics on the Rum River as well. So that's my thoughts. Anything else?
Since Rum River's a wild and scenic waterway, there's other criteria that have to be met for houses to go there. So I'm assuming they're aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no qualms about building on the river.
Right.
You know, I don't think anybody's gonna let them do it shoddy. You know. You know, I have no issues with it.
Anything else? Thank you. Moving on. Ordinance 236, second series, amending regulation of peddlers, solicitors, and transient merchants. Second reading.
Honorable Mayor Pro Tem, I guess I'll leave it up to you as far as what kind of a presentation you want in this. This is the second reading. We did review this about a month ago. Essentially, this is to fill some gaps in our codes relating to peddlers, solicitors, canvassers. We've always required licenses for these types of businesses, but we haven't really given specificity as to what that license process is, and this would basically fill that hole.
Let's open it up for comment, if anybody has anything.
No.
No?
Mr. Mayor Pro Temp, I'd like to entertain a motion that we adopt ordinance 236, second series, amending regulations of peddlers, solicitors, and transient merchants.
Do we have a second?
I'll make that second.
And roll call.
Councilman Bauer,
Aye.
Sparno,
Aye.
Debate,
Aye.
Nealbo,
Aye.
4-0.
Motion passes. And summary publication for ordinance 236, second series, resolution 2018-05. Discussion or entertain a motion to approve that.
Make a motion that we approve resolution 2018-5.
Mr. Mayor Pro Temp, I'd like to second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
And item G, fire department, joint duty crew study.
Mayor Pro Tem Council, a number of months ago, local fire chiefs from here in the city of St. Francis, East Bethel, Linwood, and Oak Grove began to have a very organic discussion on how we can continue to support each other and solve each other's problems in relation to staffing. One of the things that has came to light over the past few months is the State Fire Marshal's Office has made some dollars available for creative solutions for smaller fire departments to find ways to continue to enhance service to the community. The motion before you today is seeking permission for the fire department to participate in the grant application process to the State Fire Marshal's Office. There is no financial obligation from the City of St. Francis. There is no proposed change to how we staff currently. This is simply to hire a consultant to come in and tell us some opportunities that maybe we're not aware of to, again, enhance our level of staffing and some create efficiencies for all the involved communities. So that's the motion before you tonight.
And it's funded by,
The money for the grant it's a grant that's been provided by the State Fire Marshal's Office, which I believe is being funded by the Fire Fund, which is a state fund that helps support fire departments. There's $250,000 available. The fees that we would recover from the grant are simply to pay a consultant to come in and do a study. Again, there's no obligation for us moving forward to accept the report. There's no guarantee that we'll even get the grant. But just so we're all on the same page of where we're attempting to go and things that are available for us where we can create some efficiencies within our city, we want to make sure that we're taking advantage of that. So, like I said, there's a $250,000 pool that's not a ton of money available. It is a highly competitive process at this point. Everybody is struggling with the same issues across the state. So we're optimistic that we'll have a good chance since we're bringing in many cities to kind of look at the same thing and create some efficiencies. But we'll see how it turns out.
discussion?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'm in favor of, anything to try and improve efficiencies. I know in the past that we did have a joint fire committee. It was probably about 4 years ago. I don't know if any of the information is still available, but there was a study similar to this done. I don't know if it was exactly the same type of study. But even if we don't, one, I recommend that we approve this grant. But if we don't get it, I'd recommend maybe looking back into our notes and seeing what, they had suggested in the past as well.
Correct.
Because the information really isn't that old. And it was a pretty in-depth, thorough study, so I'm in favor of it. I'm in favor of regionalization. To be honest with you, the more groups you have working together, you have more buying power, you have more better responsibility, and response time, and more people to pull from as far as pool and training. So it's huge. The upside is huge, and I really don't see a downside of working together. So I think this is a win-win. So I'm in favor of it.
And what I will dovetail on is, regardless of the outcome of whether we're successful in this grant application, all the local fire chiefs are very vested in continuing to find ways to be creative and support one another. We're all facing the same challenges, and we all recognize that the only way we solve that is by a collective effort. So,
perfect.
Anybody else? I'm all for it as well. I think the grant deal, if we get it, awesome. If you don't, we obviously have to look into other situations. So I will entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'll make that motion to approve the fire department entering into a joint duty crew study.
Do I have a second?
Mayor Pro Tem, I will second that motion to authorize our fire chief and administration to work together on putting together this grant for a joint duty study.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And item H, declaring surplus property, Draeger SCBA's resolution 2018-06.
Mayor Pro Tem and Council, back in December, we finally completed our last round of training session on our new MSA air packs, and they, at that point, were put into active service on all fire department equipment and apparatus. That leaves us with our cache of Draeger SCBA's. following city policy and procedure, we'd like to declare those SCBA's as surplus equipment. We will begin the process of either selling, donating, or properly disposing of that equipment based on whatever rules and regulations that we need to abide by and follow. Certainly, if there is a suitor out there, we would like to sell them. There's not a tremendous amount of value left in these air packs, but if there is an opportunity for us to recover some funds, we would certainly like to do so. I have that money designated to go back into fire department capital, and that's the motion before you tonight.
Discussion?
You know, another disposition of these SCBA's, I know Anoka County has a training school.
Fire Academy, sir.
You know, Fire Academy, thank you.
Yes.
And I know they're always looking for equipment to train on, so if there is a way, if we can't sell them, you know, that'd be a great place to donate them, and some of these new recruits, you know, come in, learn how to don their SCBA's and operate them properly, how to clean them, take care of them, and, you know, a great opportunity for it, so.
I agree.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I would agree with the statement of trying to get rid of them and sell them, donate them, whatever the policy is. Problem I have is we bought the new ones outside of fire department funds, so I would request that that be put back into the general fund.
If we get it.
If we do.
Well, I'm trying to digest what I just heard. Did the general fund pay for the upgrade?
Liquor store fund, I believe, is where the money came from. Is that correct, Joe?
Yeah, I'd have to look back, I'm not sure, because that's our general fund.
I thought it was a little bit of both.
We'll look back and we'll report back on that. Once we decide if we're going to get any money for these, then we'll look at what fund the monies came from.
Okay.
And those social councils that are.
Sure. In the meantime, we could authorize the staff to liquidate the assets, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
How do you want me to make that motion? So we motion to approve donating, selling, as far as the funds are
It's just
concerned.
declaring them a surplus property at this point.
Yep. Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion to declare surplus property for the Draeger SCBA's Resolution 2018-6, and having our fire chief and administration determining where the funds should be allocated towards.
Sure. Do I have a second?
I'll make that second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Second meeting open to the public prior to this week.
No,
All right. Moving on, council member reports. Who wants to go first? Jerry.
I'll go first. First of all, I want to welcome everybody back to the start of a new year. We've got 1 year under our belt, and I got to say, last year is really a pleasure. I've been working with everybody here on staff and on the council. In addition to that, I'd also like to thank the residents. I've had a lot of residents that have reached out and contacted me of various things throughout the year, and it's really great to know that you know, their concerns are being heard up here. So I really want to say thank you to everybody here. There's not much to report for the Upper Rum River Watershed Commission meeting. The last meeting was canceled, and I think the new meeting is, I think, tomorrow. And I can't make it, so. But I would like to report that I'm a grandfather again. So if I could hand out cigars here at the school district office, I would. Yeah, my daughter had a 10-pound, 15-ounce baby boy. So just a big kid, so. Other than that, I don't have anything to report.
Thank you. Rob?
I really don't have much. I was excited to see this year come to an end. We did a lot of great things. I'm excited to hear about the wastewater treatment facility study and rates. I can't wait for this whole year to get started. I hope everyone had a great vacation, great Christmas, and I look forward to doing another good year in 2018.
The only thing I had, this time of year, when it gets cold like this, I usually get in my Facebook battle with my relatives when they complain about why the heck we live here, and I say this is a small price to pay for living in God's country, and we go back and forth and back and forth. But I just wanted to, if you want to pass along to your staffs, thanks for dealing with the elements and what your staffs had to put up with. I live in a cube all day long, so I don't have to go into that outside when it's 10 below zero, but your all staff do, whether it's public works or getting out of your squad car or responding to a fire. So thank your staffs for putting up with this. Remind them to stay safe, and it's cold out there. I'm pretty sure this isn't the end of it, but that's all I've got.
Thank you, Rich. For me, the only thing I got to report is I went to the planning commission, first planning commission I've been to, the 20th there. It was very interesting, very eye-opening, and a really good learning experience. I'd like to go to more of them. I think it prepares me better to see what we've seen on the screen. Helps me understand what we're looking at and the magnitude of it. You get a little more in depth with it, and that's where a lot of the information is. So I'd like to thank everybody as well. I think everybody's been doing a great job with the development, with staff, fire department, police department, public works. All you guys are doing good. Ben, glad to have you on board, and Craig as well. So thank you, everybody, and Happy New Year. Let's start it right and let's get going. Government moves slow and it's frustrating, but it is what it is, and I hope to see more public involvement this year. More people coming, more people voicing their opinions, whether it's email, calling us as council members. We want you to get involved. So that's all I have.
Can I have a go back?
What?
Can I have a go back?
Go
I just
back.
saw something else. When you mentioned staff, one thing, and I mentioned this at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, I really like when we do these presentations like this, especially when you're showing maps and you're showing land use kind of stuff. If you're out in the audience, not everyone's going to know where the intersection of Salish and Ambassador is. I mean, and it doesn't just have to be land use stuff. I really think that we want to deliver as good a product as we can, and I'm going to call these inferior chambers. I mean, they work, but they're not ideal. But presentations like this, Darcy's very good at when she does the tax presentations, and let's keep doing that kind of stuff. And I think staff does it, and Ben did a really good job. You don't have to present the whole packet. Bring forward the important things, the things that really help bring the points forward. That's really helpful, not only just for us, but it's helpful for the folks in the audience. I'm not sure if do they see? Can the folks watching YouTube, they can't see from that angle, right? So I don't know if that's something we might have to think about if we really want to get the holy grail of council proceedings here. But no, I like this direction. I like the presentation of data, and makes our job a little bit easier, and hopefully makes it a little bit easier for folks to follow along. So that's it. I'm done.
Thanks. And just to note the upcoming events, January 16th, Tuesday is our next council meeting. It will be here at 6 o'clock like usual. January 17th, there's a planning commission meeting here as well at 6 o'clock. And January 26th, the St. Francis Area Chamber of Commerce annual dinner will be held. I have no idea where. So with that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.